Hello and welcome to MacFormat's weekly Apple Extravaganza. I'm Chris Finn.
I'm Matt Bolton.
And on this episode we talk about people underestimating Apple.
Robotic suits.
And a smart light bulb, but possibly not the smart light bulb you're thinking of. Let's start with news in the world of Apple. There is a long history of people underestimating Apple. Famously, of course, Palm's CEO, Colligan, said...
PC guys aren't just going to walk in and figure this stuff out.
Referring to
the iPhone,
exactly pre-iPhone, so they're not going to do it. And we've had another round of it in a couple of interviews with executives from Dell and from BlackBerry.
Dell again,
exactly.
After Michael Dell said that he would close Apple down and give the money back to the shareholders.
He was asked
what when there was sort of 5% of the money there is now.
Yes, exactly. And now Apple is worth a significantly larger amount of money than Dell could ever hope to be worth. In fact, Dell is in the middle of being bought by Michael Dell and a venture capital firm.
I mean, there might be a venture capitalist involved.
But, Dell of all people should know better. But it just continues to amaze me. I mean, at some point Apple will make a misstep. At some point Apple just will, whether society moves past it or there's some bad management, at some point it will fade from relevance.
I mean, we should maybe say another misstep.
Yes.
Like, it has made missteps in the past. It's got a particularly good hit rate at the moment. Yeah. But the Pippin still happened.
Yes.
That occurred.
Yeah. And there are other things like that. But the more important thing is, it just amazes me, genuinely amazes me, that people are still underestimating Apple. So we have John Swainson, who heads Dell's global software business, in an interview with Reuters said, "I do not think that we take the Apple-IBM tie-up seriously." This, of course, was the news we reported on a couple of episodes back, where Apple and IBM have formed a strategic alliance, where IBM will sell in Apple hardware to enterprise. Apple will support that. There will be an Apple Care for Enterprise program created.
Well, that seems fair, because I don't think that Apple IBM takes Dell and BlackBerry seriously. So,
well, Dell and BlackBerry, of course, aren't formally affiliated, but it is rumoured that they might be. It makes sense in a lot of ways that they would be affiliated in a similar way. So John Swainson says, "I do not think we take the Apple IBM tie-up terribly seriously. I think it just made a good press release." Fuck off, John Swainson.
A bit like comments like this.
Yes. He also said, "I have some trouble understanding how IBM reps are really going to help Apple very much in terms of introducing devices into their accounts. I mean, candidly, they weren't very good at it when it was IBM logoed products, so I do not get how introducing Apple logoed stuff is going to be much better." Which is such a nuts thing to say. Hello! Well, the problem is that, obviously, in enterprise, the decision-making process for what services are used, what devices are used, etc., has rested in the hands of the CTOs, the CIOs, the people who are making decisions on behalf of the workforce.
Not the people who use the
devices.
Not the
people who use the devices.
And now bring your own device is becoming more popular. Well, that was the point of this type in the first place, as we said the other week, however many weeks ago it was.
Yep.
The point is that people are using iPads, they are bringing their Apple devices in,
and they are good candidates.
Apple is tying up with IBM, who is good at company-wide rollouts and supports, to do that.
Yeah.
The things that you need to offer for enterprise.
And the thing is as well that the iPhone and the iPad in particular are very good enterprise citizens. They have supported for a long time things like Exchange Server, which I know is a kind of like, of course you do, kind of check mark on the product matrix or something, but they're very secure. They can be managed centrally so that people can control them from a console, so they can wipe things remotely and snoop on employees and that sort of stuff. Also, BlackBerry's chief John Chen said he likened the tie-up to when two elephants start dancing.
Well, one thing I'd say is you should take that quite seriously. Get out of the way if that happens.
To me, that just sounds awesome. If that's what we're going for.
Also,
two tangoing elephants sounds good to me. But it just astonishes me, and I can't work out to this day whether these people are actively stupid and willfully obtuse, whether it's a carefully crafted PR exercise, saying things like this, or whether they genuinely don't get how compelling Apple is at the moment and how compelling its products are.
Well, you would think their balance figures at least would tell them something about this.
Yeah.
But my suspicion would be this is a load of bluster for their current customers to persuade them that
they shouldn't jump ship.
The Apple IBM thing isn't good. You do need your BlackBerries and your Dells, and in the background they're doing more stuff to keep them enticing
Yeah.
to these companies.
Yeah.
That would be my hope, if you like.
Because at least
Because these people earn a lot more than I do.
exactly.
And
that's the thing. If at least they are not willfully obtuse, then it gives me some hope. I mean, if they're doing this for sound, if slightly silly PR reasons, fair enough.
Yeah, that's fine. You can say stupid things if it ultimately...
If it isn't service of a wider
If it
goal.
papers over the cracks while you sort yourself out, then fine.
Yeah. Let us know what you think of that. Those comments in the comments box below, and if you can remember any other clangers that companies, especially quite dull corporate companies, have dropped in the past regarding their hubris towards Apple, let us know.
Let's move on to the wider world of tech. Robotic exoskeletons
Have been a thing for a while.
Yes, as concepts, largely as occasional lab prototypes. A shipbuilding yard in made from Daewoo in South Korea, one of the largest in the world, is starting to actually use them for actual shipbuilding with its actual employees.
Right.
Actually.
So presumably to allow them to to transport heavier loads.
Up to 100 kilograms. At the moment, they're running on about 30, and it's effectively a rollout of lots of prototypes. They're not good at wet floors or sharp turns,
right.
So they need a bit of work.
Especially for a shipyard, I would imagine wet floors are
It's
not...
a possibility, at least. But, yeah, they are actually using robotic suits to carry heavy loads as if no problem.
Yeah.
The actual robotic suits weigh something like 30 kilograms themselves, but none of that weight is even on the person. They are, because they reach all the way to the ground, and you're strapped into a robotic shoe at the bottom.
Yeah.
All the weight is on the suit, and then it just follows your movements, rather than is in any way attached. And all the weight just attaches to that, and the robotic arms.
Musculature in the arms.
Yeah, exactly. Then carry that weight. So, at the moment it does about 30 kilograms, but they think it'll do 100 kilograms or 220-ish pounds. So, not the biggest loads in the world to carry, although I guess 2 or 3 people could carry one thing at once. But I was like, that's cool. Actual robotic exoskeletons in the wild.
Woo. I guess the point about using them is that obviously we have pure robotic systems that are far, far stronger, but they don't have the agility and the decision making and the creativity that a human has. So by augmenting a human, you don't have to work rigidly, you can be much more flexible with what you're doing. Because obviously if you've got a fully robotic construction system, as you would have for a lot of cars, for example, that's an incredibly interdependent, precise line of actions, which is going to be much more chaotic, but in a good way.
Yeah, you would think somewhere like a shipbuilding setup, that the more robotic route might work. The article was in New Scientist, described that a lot of the shipbuilding work is already done by robots. So this is kind of adding an extra element of partly speeding up or making your human workers more efficient, or at least making them able to carry things individually that previously would have required use of forklift or something. So you speed up the time that's the time that it takes to do any of that stuff.
The exoskeleton stuff is really interesting because I've seen 2 other uses for it in the world. One is obviously in defence.
Yeah.
Obviously DARPA is doing a lot of stuff with exoskeletons. But also the other use I've seen for it a lot is in elderly care, especially in the Far East and Japan.
Okay.
So that as we have an ageing population and we ourselves become weaker and yet still have to care for each other, this idea of being able to lift patients, to be able to move people around, is very clever. We should say briefly how these things work, because it sounds like a dystopian nightmare of cyborgs, but they're actually quite intelligent in the way they sense the movement and merely augment it. You don't have to program in actions.
Yeah, it follows your own movement and applies, if you needed extra force, or in this case extra stability.
Right.
The point being that you can lift and attach, and all the weight is taken by the suit. You just guide the suit effectively. It's interesting because there'll also be things to think about spin-off stuff, which is not entirely divorced of the elderly care stuff you were talking about, but instead of an entire robotic suit, just a leg brace robotic suit that can, if you had an injured or weak leg or something that can augment that, so that you can still have it strong enough to walk on, rather than if you had problems with the muscle or something like that.
And we've talked in the past as well, haven't we, about uses for these medical uses for things that are not dissimilar to this, in dealing particularly with stroke victims, where they where part of the process of recovery is making repetitive movements over and over again to retrain the brain, and something like that would be terrific for that, to help regain mobility.
Yes, you could sort of lock down someone's movement so they're doing their exercises, even if you wanted to put a bit of irony into proceedings.
Yeah. Or plasticky. Yes.
Never mind.
Sorry.
Terrible.
Yeah, let's stop that.
Let's just skip straight on from...
Well, let us know what you think of the robotic exoskeletons. Have a look at the New Scientist, did you say? Story. Both stories that we've talked about today are linked to in the comment section below. Have a look at that and see what they're doing in shipbuilding. And let us know if you think it sounds like a terrific thing, or basically it's a dystopian nightmare coming true. Let's move on to our kit from this week.
Speaking of dystopian nightmares, here's a light bulb with a speaker in.
Yes.
It's a smart light bulb of sorts, not entirely unlike the Philips Hue,
which I have here.
This is quite a bit larger, because in this case all the smarts are in this bulb, unlike the Hue, where the bulbs are controlled by a central brain.
A bridge that plugs directly into your router.
Yes.
So it's connected over the network, and in fact over the internet.
Indeed.
If you wish.
Whereas this is just Bluetooth, so direct connection to your phone, rather than a full house network connection, and everything is in here, including a 3-watt LED light and a 3-watt RMS speaker. The basic concept is not that you fill your house with these and it becomes wonderful music, because
it's Bluetooth, so you can only connect to one of them at once apart from anything else.
There is that, but also it's only a 3-watt speaker. Like, it just isn't designed. Like, you don't get a lot of bass out of this, unbelievably. But the basic concept is that the app it comes with a whole bunch of different alarm type systems and settings, and you set a particularly rousing and pleasant piece of music.
Rousing? I heard arousing. And I was wondering where you're going with that.
That's also an option, I suppose.
A bit of Barry White in the evening.
Just the regular rousing, rather than the other kind. And then in the morning, the music comes on slowly, and the lights come on slowly together, and it wakes you up in a pleasant way, as does the arousing music, I suppose.
Plug it in. Let's have a look.
Yeah, but unlike the Philips Hue, it doesn't. Sorry, just making some noise on it.
It doesn't change colour, does it? It's just a single colour, isn't it? So it's slightly off-white, warm.
Yeah, it doesn't change colour, and so it doesn't mesh into kind of networks of Technicolor stuff, and you can't control it with a network of apps, at least at the moment. I don't know if HomeKit integration is possible, but
that's it connected.
That's it to tell us that we're connected. So you can do a basic connection on Bluetooth LE that requires no setup at all. Yeah,
so Bluetooth or Bluetooth Smart, Bluetooth 4, depends on
whatever.
There's lots of different names, and they're not interchangeable, but broadly they are. And that requires no pairing system at all.
Exactly. So
and it's very low power.
You download the app and open it, and it immediately goes, aha, I see you have a play bulb, you may control the lights.
In fact, let's now come and demonstrate, Mr. Cameraman.
So I've just got a dial, basically, that turns the lights up and down.
What is shake?
It's slightly weird. So it literally lets me shake to reduce the light.
Right.
I'm not 100% sure what the idea is. I think it's that in the morning you wake up, you've got no dexterity, maybe you've been sleeping on your hands and it doesn't work properly, so you can just go, just stop, just turn the light off, please.
Okay.
Anyway, that works over Bluetooth LE.
Yeah.
If you want to play the music, you need a proper Bluetooth connection.
Oh, so you've got to pair it.
You have to pair it separately. You have to kind of do a separate turn it off and on, and then go to Bluetooth pairing, which is
it makes sense,
odd.
I guess.
Like it
technically,
does.
But it's a bit messy.
And you do it once,
UX.
and then you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
But it did confuse me at first.
Yeah.
And then it's not great because you have to choose a playlist.
Right.
You will need to have created a playlist beforehand, which is fine because you choose whatever music you want.
But you can't go in and then just manually go into artists or albums. It has to be done through a playlist.
No, exactly. Do you have a song to...
I don't particularly. Let's have some Wheatus, shall we? Is that Wheatus?
Probably. Is it? You are Bluetoothed in.
I am. Brilliant! Well, we have had it working.
You haven't turned the sound off or something.
So we know... Well, we know it does work, because we've had it working. Quite why it's not working at the moment is anyone's guess.
Yes.
But anyway, so... This is great TV. But there's also, you were talking about, there's some preset modes as well. There's 99 Luftballon playing. Good. Yes. Good.
So it works.
Yes.
It goes really...
And we didn't dub that on in post.
You've just now made it sound like we did. Yes. Anyway. It goes reasonably loud.
Yeah.
It should be loud enough to wake you up. As I say, not sound system, and it's not the most detailed.
Yeah, I imagine it's not particularly warm, rich kind of sound.
Yeah,
but
it's okay.
But radio, use tune-in radio maybe, or some podcasts, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that would be fine. Or just if you had otherwise a track you thought was get up and go in the morning. Some epic Lord of the Rings music or something.
It's a shame that I understand the Bluetooth pairing, that makes sense, and also it means that it's platform agnostic rather than being AirPlay, which would mean it would only work with Apple Kit, realistically. But it's a shame that they don't then mesh to each other, either over a custom RF system or daisy chaining a Bluetooth system, if that's technically possible, because that would be quite a nice thing to be able to do.
It is.
And almost doing a Sonos thing of... having zones.
I guess it's a more elaborate and expensive thing to set up, though. This is about 60 quid.
60 quid, okay. For the one bulb.
For the one bulb. But that's a complete self-contained system. The Philips Hue is more money for a more elaborate system that offers you more control.
Yeah.
It's a little bit pays your money, takes your choice.
Yeah.
This has, to a degree, quite a specific purpose.
Yeah.
The Philips Hue, they're making it more extensible.
Yeah.
It's just...
through the API.
Different strokes, different folks. The only real downside that I kind of found so far is the beep that we got when we first turned on. If I kind of, let's say, it's late and my partner's gone to bed, and I'm coming to bed and I go to the other side of the house to get a drink or go to the loo or whatever, I walk in and if it's not already in a silent mode, it beeps loudly.
Yes.
And I don't have control. I just wander into Bluetooth range and if someone's already gone to sleep or snoozing or something, that's going to be unpopular
Suboptimal.
As a decision. So I guess you'd have to be a little bit careful with your settings.
Indeed.
And your timing.
We'll do a full review of this in an upcoming issue of MacFormat, but let us know what you think of it in the comments box below. And don't forget, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel for MacFormat at youtube.com/MacFormatUK. There's a link in the middle of the screen where you can click on to look at previous episodes of this show. And before you do any of that, obviously you should try MacFormat magazine, which is wonderful, and you can get a free edition of that. The current edition completely free, plus the next issue completely free if you take out a trial subscription, which is completely cancelable. It's a no obligation trial in macformat.com/iPad. But that's it for this week, and we'll see you next week.
Bye. Are you a bit high, Tom?
Like, no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, are you high?